Welcome to the regular meeting of the NYOS School Board. Today is August 11th, 2026. We have a quorum present, and this meeting is called to order at 6:02 p.m. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Thank you to all of our guests who are here tonight. You are invited to address the board during the public comment portion of the agenda. Please sign up to do so. The online link has closed, but if you still want to sign up, you can sign up with Jackie right down here. You may do so between now and until we get to the public comment portion, which is item 4 on our agenda. Board members, you should have access to the board packet on the board drive. As a reminder, if you need to take something from the consent agenda to the regular, just let me know, please. This is your last chance to do that. Do we have, has everybody received the agenda? Has it in front of you? Great. At this time, I'll recognize a motion to accept the agenda and move forward. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Allie. All in favor? Great, that's the agenda that we'll be using for the rest of the evening. Okay, on to the next item, the consent agenda. You guys have access to the consent agenda in your folder with the July minutes, committee reports, and the contracts that fit the consent agenda requirements. Any questions about approving the consent agenda? I recognize a motion to approve the consent agenda for tonight. Thank you, Richard. And a second from Allie. Thank you. All in favor?
I'll abstain from the minutes, but I wasn't here.
Thank you, Bob. We'll make that note. You got it. Okay, agenda item 4, public comment. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. An active and engaged community is one of the strongest attributes of NYOS. Your voices matter. This portion of the agenda gives everyone the opportunity to share their thoughts with the board in person, and we appreciate the participation. We want to remind you of a few important expectations. It's a public meeting. It's not a public debate or open forum. We insist that everyone share their comments politely and respectfully, and that we remain respectful to decorum at all times. Outbursts, clapping, cheering, and other disruptions make it difficult to hear, and it interrupts the proceedings from being able to move in an orderly way. You have the right to address the board on any item on the agenda before it is considered or in any other area of concern that you have. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the board will not deliberate or take action on items that aren't properly listed on an agenda posted in advance. The board chair may refer certain matters to the executive director for review or place them on a future agenda for formal discussion. If you've signed up in advance, you'll have the opportunity to speak tonight. When you speak, please introduce yourself and describe your connection to NYOS. We have one guest signed up to speak tonight. Just two? All right. We have 2 guests. If you would limit your comments to 2 minutes, we will have the time right up here on the wall. 3 minutes? All right, since we have less than 5. We listen carefully. Every comment is taken into consideration, even if we don't respond immediately. Thank you for cooperation. Members of the public, I want to bring your attention to agenda item 5 relating to the 2627 Senate Bill 12 Annual Certification of Compliance. If it's your intention to comment on this item, you can do so as part of the regular comment portion of tonight's meeting, or you can do it immediately before agenda item 5, but that is the next item on the agenda, so it's up to you. Thank you very much. Our first speaker tonight is Austin Erickson. Evening, Austin.
damage our school's reputation overall. And what I am going to talk about is some alternatives methods
Thank you very much, Austin. And admin, can we connect Austin with somebody that could collect all those thoughts from him? Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Cantor McGee.
Good evening. I'm Kendra McGee, and I'm still fighting my termination while my Title IX appeal is pending. Throughout this process, I have asked for one thing, and that is proof. Once again, NYOS is withholding documents I requested, which the Attorney General is temporarily allowing. If I did what NYOS said that I did, then prove it. It is truly just as simple as that. What I do acknowledge, I missed one SPED meeting. I left one meeting to support a student in crisis. I was 10 minutes late to another meeting supporting a student. I did not always respond to Google invites, and I did not remove a cancel drill from the calendar when I rescheduled it. Those concerns were fixed immediately when I was made aware of those on September 2nd. Before then, I was not aware that there were any issues or concerns about my performance, nor afterward through October 14th. The only remaining issue was duty arrival. After my schedule changed twice in 30 days, despite NYOS knowing that I was my disabled mother's caregiver. When I was fired October 14th, Rory Edwards said it was because I had 2 late duty arrivals. No mention of performance. Then October 15th, the following day, Matthew May confirmed in writing that I was being terminated solely for attendance and duty compliance. No mention of performance. But after filing grievances, Title IX complaint, board comments, and record requests, Dr. Michelle Rosa, Rory Edwards, and NYOS counsel started citing performance, professionalism, safety walks, past conduct, and parent concerns. But again, those things were never mentioned before my termination, October 14th. If I had those concerns, then again, just provide the evidence. It is truly just as simple as that. And here's why evidence matters. According to Ms. Edwards, a parent said that I put my hand in her face. Thankfully, we did not just take her word for it. We checked the cameras. And guess what? I wasn't anywhere near that lady. And that's what happens when you test an allegation against the evidence. You find out whether it's true. And that is all I have been asking NYOS to do for almost a year. Produce the evidence showing that I had performance problems, that they existed before September 2nd and October 19th, October 14th, when I was terminated. That is the documentation that NYOS is providing. Without evidence, as I have been saying, we could say anything. I could stand here and say tonight that Dr. Rosa called me the N-word, but where's my proof? Just because someone says something doesn't mean that it happened. People can lie, but evidence doesn't. Thank you.
That concludes the public comment portion of this evening, and we're going to move on to agenda item 5, members, new business. Agenda item 5, we will discuss and vote to approve the 2627 Senate Bill 12 Annual Certification of Compliance pursuant to Texas Education Code 39008 for submission to TEA. Board members, this is an annual certification saying that we're in compliance with the statutory requirements set forth in the Education Code by SB 12 back in 2025. Some of you may remember this. Those of you that are newer were not here at that time. In your folders, you have the Certification of Compliance certificate that the Executive Director will be submitting to TEA. It states that we operate under Board Policy 4.212, which is a prohibition on diversity, equity, and inclusion duties, and 4.213, instructional requirements and prohibitions. On October 28, 2025, we adopted a resolution and certification which was in accordance with SB 12 requirements. We were required to do that by the Texas State Legislature. We haven't made any changes to that policy since it was adopted in October 2020, since we adopted that resolution in 2025, and we're currently in compliance. If we have any discussion that needs to happen, let us know. Also, we have the executive director and their team here to talk about what this policy is looking like in practice if you guys need that information. Mark?
Yeah, I would just like to go over the policy in practice, like what happened, what changes took place next year, and what, if we can expect the same for this year. I just think the public needs to hear that conversation.
So a lot of the changes were around name usage, especially around like student clubs. So that was one of the big practices that was part of this SB 12. What other?
Exactly what name changes were made, and I know at least one club had to cease to exist, and I do think we need to be candid about that as we, vote on this again this year.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up some information. Thank you.
Mark, are you looking for any changes between 25, 26, and 26, 27, or just kind of reiterating where we are?
I just sort of a history of what happened. I mean, I'll tell you what my understanding is. Many of the student unions were allowed to continue to exist under their name, but the queer student union was forced to dissolve. Is that correct?
So SB 12 was real specific in the types of language and the types of clubs that could exist, right? And it said that you couldn't have a club solely on the categories that were listed out in what the legislature put into the education code. So every effort was made to protect students' ability to be involved in clubs that covered the topics that they wanted to, while not directly confronting the language in the education code, which you can see is tricky, but it's the efforts were made to make sure that kids had a place to go, congregate, and be in clubs. The other piece was that everyone had to sign a notification, the parent notification piece. Is another change that wasn't in place before. So you could go to whichever club you wanted to and participate. Now, if you go to that club, it's required that there's a parent notification.
And the club was not dissolved. They did have to change the name, and so, but the club is still, it's now the coloring club. Yeah. So the naming had to change, but not the club being dissolved itself.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah.
So based on these changes, my understanding is that we're still meeting the needs of the students. Sorry. So my understanding is that although the name changes, we have still figured out how to meet the needs of the students?
Correct.
Thank you. I think so. You don't want to hear from me tonight?
All right, members, if that concludes our discussion on this issue, then I'll recognize a motion to approve the certification of compliance with Texas Education Code 39008, 11005C, and 28022H. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Bob. All in favor? We have one abstention.
I am opposed.
Thank you, Richard. Members, we're going to move on to agenda item 6, which is the interim executive director committee update. Nina? Yeah, quick update.
Oh, no, this is mine.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I've read that wrong. This is the interim executive director update from the interim executive director.
Good evening, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, so a couple of quick updates I wanted to go through. So kind of our story since our last meeting. NYOS has actually hired about 50 new hires this school year. with about 17 of those starting from the July board meeting to the August board meeting. And I want to also recognize that we have 3 returning staff members. So Ms. Jackson, one of our secondary EAs, has returned. Priscilla is one of our food service members, and then Ms. Montalongo has returned to elementary. And then we have a lot of new faces. And so we're still doing the Facebook campaign, so please be on the lookout for their stories, their backgrounds on that. And then the next is talking through, so bingo night, which I know a lot of you were there. I want to give a special thanks to camp and also student council and Taffy for being present and helping tear down and do the childcare, so thank you all very much. We had about 230 people that attended, so it was a great turnout. It was super fun. It was lively. We raised total revenue about $8,452. That's going to go towards our marquee and bus conversion for our secondary library, which was about $2,000 higher than it was last year. So thank you all for everyone who came out and participated in that. And then I want to give a very special shout out to Trey Huff. So a lot of you know the Huffs. Trey was a NYOS original. He started in kindergarten in 2011. He graduated in 2024 and then returned to NYOS as our facilities assistant. And he has now left and is going to college. And so we wish him very well, and we gave him a little certificate for his 15 years at NYOS. So we appreciate all his contributions. I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Then academic update. So BOY exams, right now we have that every Friday, is happening in August for students that are taking their beginning of year diagnostics. These are going to tell teachers where students are so instruction can be adjusted in week 2 instead of week 12. And they set the baseline. We measure growth against all year. We check progress again with benchmark testing in November. That data sets our starting line against the district improvement plan goals that we have, drives Tier 2 support, and becomes the first data cycle of our professional learning communities. And then principal coaching and support. So Misty, our Chief Academic Officer, is working with principal coaching as a system. And so she's coaching both principals biweekly on an arc of development that's built directly on the district and campus improvement plan. That arc runs alongside weekly one-on-ones with each principal individually, where a portion of every meeting is spent in classrooms together, observing side-by-side, calibrating on what strong instruction looks like before it becomes an expectation of anyone else. Overall organizational health. We're proud to announce that we've hired all of our core and SPED classroom teachers for secondary. We do still have 9 vacancies, which includes 2 SPED positions in our elementary campus, 2 core teachers, and 1 SEL teacher. Our enrollment numbers are currently at 1774. We do have 14 additional pending enrollments. That's going to give us a projected enrollment of 1788 with a wait list of 339 families. We are going to begin active enrollment efforts this week, actually. Our registrar and marketing, our community outreach is going out and starting to visit some daycare centers and some other schools that align with our mission and core values and could be a way for students to enter NYOS. Finance, our annual audit is currently underway. We'll keep the board updated as we progress, of course. A quick update, NYOS was awarded the State Facilities Incentive Grant, and I'm proud to say that we have submitted our application on how we're going to spend that. And just some quick thoughts that we have submitted is increasing toilets in the boys' bathrooms in elementary in Building 1. Build out in some classrooms, some of our open areas that we have in Building 1, our art rooms, and now our theater space in Building 1, actually closing those off and making them classrooms. And then just some overall bathroom repairs and things in buildings A through C. Safety, we completed our first fire drill for the school year within the first 10 days of school, and we completed a shelter-in-place drill for our secondary campus. We're in the process of completing our safety audit, which has to be completed every 3 years, And so we're in that rotation, and so that is being worked on now. I do want to alert that NYOS did receive a TEA notice of compliance review on July 13th. We did supply that information. The response was requested to be provided by July 31st, and we have provided that in all the exhibits that TEA has requested for that. And we're awaiting their review. I also want to provide another quick update around something that was actually brought up in public comment at a few board meetings ago, which was around our approved amendment. So we made an amendment to our bylaws in February of 2025, and due to, regarding Article 3 of the governance, which clarified that members of the board, to the extent possible, shall represent elementary and secondary, but was no longer required to be apportioned as equally split between the two. And due to an oversight, that just simply was not submitted to TEA. We have submitted that TEA. The commissioner has accepted it and backdated it to February of 2025. And then quick look ahead. So accountability rating is coming out. We're expecting that on August 14th, 2026. Once that is released, we'll get that information over to the AOC, and then of course we'll present it at the September board meeting. And then playground inspection. So we actually completed a third-party inspection of our new playground and our existing playground. We just received the report. It's 52 pages long, so we'll be reviewing that and working with partners that the inspector has provided to us to ensure that we're compliant. And then a quick update, at the last board meeting I mentioned the back gate. After meeting with the FLC and some community members, the back gate is not going to be locked. I know that the last board meeting I mentioned that it could be a possibility due to safety, but recognizing now that it could be more dangerous having it locked than it would be to leave it open. And so we're leaving it open, and I'm working with our neighbors and our community members around us to ensure that we can keep it open. That's all the updates that I have.
Thank you, Matthew. Members, do we have any questions for Matthew on his update? Ruby.
Hi, Matthew. Just a quick question around the student recruitment that you mentioned earlier. Sounds like you said that there's going to be efforts to do daycare outreach. I'm assuming that's for kinder, right?
Correct. Yeah. Or pre-K. Yeah.
Is that the priority, or is there any effort around middle school, high school recruitment?
There is. It's easier to start connecting with daycares that are closer to us to help with that pipeline, because from pre-K to kinder, we have a big jump, right? From the enrollment numbers, we go from 36 to 144. So we're helping with that, but we are looking at other like pre-K through 8 charter schools or Montessori schools that could help us feed our high school, and as well as any programs that are middle school. So if anybody has any recommendations, again, we want them to be very close to our mission and core values, and that it will be a good fit for NYOS. Please send them our way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matthew, thank you for your update. I am wondering about the playground inspection.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly does that entail, and what have you received as feedback so far?
Yeah, so we just received the report. I've glanced through it, so I don't have a lot of detail to provide now. But one of our community members connected us with the manufacturer of playgrounds. We reached out to him. He provided us with an inspector who works for the Austin Parks and Recreation Department and who does playground inspecting. And so we really wanted to get a baseline, like where is our current playground, where is the new playground set up, because there's been a lot of safety concerns that have been brought forward. And not that we don't believe that, right? I'm not saying that at all, but we wanted to get a comprehensive review of what work needs to be done, so that way we can get it completed and make sure that that environment is safe for everyone to play on. And so that's what the report was. And like I said, we just received it, so we had to go through it. We'll be working, the inspector has provided some playground contractors that we could partner with to help and make sure that we get it up to compliance.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other questions for Matthew?
Yeah, on the enrollment, right? you showed was 1711? Okay, sorry. It was, but it was still, our budget was based on 1870, right?
1810.
Am I looking at the wrong stuff then? Because,
Oh, it is 1870. I'm sorry. That was
Okay.
last year. Yep,
yeah. So that means we are significantly short,
we are.
right? And even with 14 that are being enrolled.
Correct.
Um, Any other things that we're planning beyond trying to go
Hmm.
connect with, trying to get,
Right.
the smaller kids?
Yeah.
We need everything.
Yes, we do have a lot of openings to fill. Word of mouth is always our biggest. We are doing a Facebook marketing campaign. We did that, I think, 3 years ago and had success with it. We're doing some mailers. We're focusing on area zip codes that did have some Austin ISD closures to see if we can drive families towards. One of the marquee projects that I mentioned is also to help with recruiting, to show that we are enrolling and a little bit about the school as people drive by. And so those are a few of the efforts that we're doing.
Okay, so that's the revenue side, right?
Mhm.
The alternative, obviously, is we're going to have to look at the cost side,
Correct.
right? Because that is a significant shortfall, right? If, it doesn't swing, and even every month that we don't hit the number, we're talking tens, if not hundreds of thousands of
Correct.
dollars.
Yeah.
So I guess for next FOC, we'll have to look at, what else can we do?
Yes.
Thanks.
Any other questions, members? All right, thank you very much, Matthew. The next agenda item is item 7, committee business, and we will start with the Financial Oversight Committee. Back to Hassan.
Yes, thanks. Oh, okay, yes, we do have it in here. So on the good news side, we have increased our cash. As we said in the last meeting, we've closed on the line of credit, which was actually applied and promptly paid back. So if you can see, our cash went up significantly from last year to this year. So in actuality, unaudited, we think we've basically netted an extra $50,000 from operations in cash for the year. That's compared to, I don't remember, we went short several hundred thousands of dollars over the last few years. We still have, even after paying our line of credit off, $4.5 million approximately in cash, which is great. A lot of charter schools are not in that financial position. And for the entire year, even after depreciation, if you look at the bottom line, right, we have a surplus of $85,000, which is a little lower than we expected because depreciation came in high and, some of the revenue was a little bit lower. But overall, last year we went negative, so this year we went positive. We just need to make sure we can repeat it so that down the road we can pay for, a lot of other things that are going to be coming up. So Matthew, thank you for bringing up to do some kind of reserve study or something to look at what are the longer term items that are going to have to be replaced, parking lots, toilets, right? Those types of things that we don't think about but cost a lot of money on an ongoing basis, and make sure that we manage our finances accordingly. That's it on FOC, unless anybody has questions.
Questions for Hassan? All right, thank you very much, Hassan, and the entire committee for that work. The next committee is the Governance Committee. We're going to take a moment to talk about setting up the committees for the next school year, members. So with new board members and a new school year, we're going to update our committee membership. And the tradition, the chair nominates the members of the committees and the chair for each. I did this after consulting with each of you. We had a quick conversation, and I tried to balance committee membership of parent members, teachers members, community members, and also committees by workload, not giving anyone too many of the heavier workload committees. So I hope no one's overburdened. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, I'm going to make a motion to appoint the committees as presented, and there should be a sheet in front of you. If you don't have that, please let me know, and I'll give you one. I was just giving them a minute to review. So members, I make a motion that we nominate the members of the committee in the order that I have laid out. And I would appreciate a second. Motion is made by the chair and seconded by the vice chair. And members, all in favor? It's unanimous. It's unanimous. Thank you, members. I appreciate that very much. I look forward to a great school year. And if at the end of today's meeting, we can have a quick meeting right here with the committee chairs. So Mark, Hassan, Sarah, Sharon, and Allie. Next will be the Leadership Transition Committee.
Thank you, Chair. As you know, we are looking for the next executive director or superintendent for NYOS Charter School. We did have a community webinar in July, and we had several of the committee join that along with our community. So we had some really great questions that we were able to discuss and put together and incorporate those into our questions and discussions on looking for the next executive director. So that was really helpful. Thank you, all of you who came and provided input. We also asked our FLC, the Family Leadership Council, to write up some notes based on the webinar, and they did send to the committee so that we could gather the highlights of that. And so we wanted to get them involved. So thank you, members of the Family Leadership Council, for that as well. We did have second round interviews in July as well. And then this past weekend on August 8th, we had final round interviews with the full board or a quorum of the board. So we did that on Saturday. Tonight, the board hopes to name a lone finalist. If so, we will have to wait. We'll name a lone finalist tonight. We'll have to wait 21 days, and then the board will vote to finalize an employee agreement. And so that's by law that we have to wait that time frame. That time frame is about the time that we'd have our September board meeting. Of course, the board can choose to do a special board meeting if we decide to do that. That is my update. Unless I missed anything, committee members, board.
Any questions for Nina? All right, thank you, Nina. Agenda item 8, executive session. All right, the board will now meet in executive session to deliberate the appointment of an executive director. Deliberation regarding personnel of the school board will meet in executive session in accordance with Texas Government Code Section 551.074 regarding personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or employee. Specifically, to deliberate regarding the appointment of the executive director. Also, to discuss, consider, and take possible action to name a finalist for the executive director position in open session. The time is now 6:36 p.m. Members, I have your notes from the previous meeting. I'll bring them with us to the executive session, and we'll meet in there. If you want to take a minute for a bio break or something, that's fine as well. Yeah, the little room out there. time is 6:45. We have a 7:45. Thank you. The time is 7:45 p.m. and we have a quorum present. The board now reconvenes into open session. Let the record reflect that no action took place in closed session. This is a hard decision, probably the hardest one we'll do. I really want to thank y'all for your serious consideration, how intensely everyone made their points and thought about NYOS. This is a tough one, and I just thought this was a great team that worked on this. And I really want to thank Nina, the Executive Director Search Committee Chair, for keeping everything in line. It was a lot. It was months of work. But at the end of that, members, we have concluded our deliberations. And at this time, is there any further discussion? None? Okay. At this time, I will recognize anyone to make a motion for action for the board.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion that the board name Dr. Eric Torres as the lone finalist for the position of Executive Director of NYOS Charter School.
Thank you, Ruby. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Hassan. Members, all in favor of naming as lone finalist for the Executive Director position of NYOS Charter Schools, Dr. Eric Torres? All in favor, say aye. That's unanimous. Thank you very much, members. Okay. Agenda item 9, closing up. We can talk about agenda items for the September 8th meeting. Thoughts, members, member committees? We will have a quick little meeting here at the end to discuss your committee work. But if you have any things that you want to toss out there, go ahead. You can send them through committee, get them on the next agenda possibly. Allie?
Do we want to discuss board training?
Yes. As the next chair of the governance committee, you're going to be very involved in board training, and that's one of the things that's going to be coming your way.
What about our district improvement plan?
Thank you, Nia. Anything else? All right.
Then we need to approve the August 8th minutes.
We do approve those tonight or the next meeting? Yeah, got that. Okay. With no other business before the committee, before the board, I will recognize a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Bob. Oh,
All right,
Hassan.
Hassan, Bob with the second. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much, board members.